Good evening, Shaggy SoCal with 2Old4Forza, and it's time for round three of 2Old4Forza's Thursday Night Thunder Season 40 in the GT40. Um, after again, unfortunately, I can't be part of the races, but at least from what I'm seeing and hearing from you guys, this car seems to be racing really well, and you guys are having some good battles despite its quirkiness. Especially in Sebring, relatively flat but bumpy, and then in the Spa, a lot smoother, but a lot of elevation changes and some challenging corners there. But for week three, we are going to be racing at Monza, and it is, as you can see, it is the alt version of the full circuit. So no initial chicane there at what is it called? Because I don't know all the names here. Yeah, we don't have. There's a Della. I'm gonna butcher the Italian here. Del Retfilio. No, not Filio, just Refilo. Ret Retifilo. El Retifilo. I won't be pronouncing that anymore because we don't have that opening chicane, which I think will make at least opening lap shenanigans less likely. But that means we're going to be heading full speed into Curva Grande. So with that, like I always do, I'm just going to go into test drive here. We'll run an initial. I'll do an initial flyer here, and then we'll do a slower lap around the course. And I can just point out things that I'm looking at, what I think the car is going to do, what are the best things to try, to get this GT40 around Monza without crashing into Curva Grande. Do the second chicane, which will actually be the first. No too much curve there. Lesmo 1 and Lesmo 2. The third gear. Then up the hill towards Ascari. About as clean. That's going to be a challenge in the race. And then finally the Parabolica. So not too many turns. I exit a little earlier than I would have liked. But that's a lap of Monza. Let's start talking about, break down the lap here a little bit. Actually, just to make my life a little easier. So heading down into Curva Grande, I mean, we're going to be getting up to close to 190 miles an hour on our own. If these cars do draft at all, you might get a little higher. I don't think you're going to need sixth. Again, you'll find out when you start getting into the draft. If there's a significant enough, if the revs go up high enough in fifth gear that you have to go to sixth. I'm hoping you can stay in fifth. But heading down into Curva Grande, I have, for kicks and giggles, I have to try to take this flat out in the GT40 and no go. It's a really aggressive turn in. I have full lock to the right, and I can get the entry fine, and it'll hold there for a second, but just, again, under power, the car's going to still try to accelerate, and because the front end of this GT40, even with the downforce we've got on it, still wants to lift, the car starts to push out and exit. And as we've kind of learned with some of the corners at Sebring and Spa, if you try to make late adjustments in the throttle to try and bring the car back, to get the nose back down, it will unsettle the GT40 a bit more than expected. So again, my theory is always with this car, it's better if you're going to make a throttle adjustment, it's better to make it early going into the corner than to try and have to make a correction late, just because it can unsettle the car. So what I've been doing, what I think has been working for me, and we'll see how consistent I am in the mock race. I'm going to be down here in fifth, and I'm going to kind of follow the line, the kind of the suggested line as far as the turn in. So I'll actually start turning in slightly before the tag hour sign here for Curva Grande. As I get to the sign, as that sign's passing, as I'm passing under that sign, I'm going to roll out of the throttle. And the whole point is I'm not going to use, don't need the brakes, but it's turn in first, just prior to the tag hour sign. And then as I pass underneath it, I'm going to roll out of the throttle to help settle the front end, to get some grip to the front tires, to get the car settled into the corner. Usually I only need to be out of that throttle, and I'm judging, and again, at 3.0 in rhythm, and as you do laps, what I'm finding is that it's just letting off completely off the throttle as you get under the sign. Then I'm actually starting to roll back into the throttle probably right before I start getting to the curbing here on the right. So it's not a you don't have to be way out of the throttle until you get way into the curve. You just need to get off of it enough to get the front end settled to get in. And then when I say roll back into the throttle, it is a roll. If you watch my throttle little throttle thing here, it's not going to be like I'm not going to be full throttle. I'm not going to be full throttle, then go off and then right back and snap it back on. It's going to be off, and then it'll be like a slow, it'll be like a roll in like that. But once you've got the car settled into the corner and you're rolling back in and you're back on full throttle, you should be able to hold that full throttle all the way through the corner, be able to hold the line pretty well. The car may buffet a little bit, be as smooth with your steering as you can. Let the car kind of drift, exit out here to the left side, and as soon as you get out, start bringing it back over to the right. Or this next chicane, and see, I don't know, these chicanes I know have names, and I don't know what they are. So I've got to sound intelligent, so I got to get it right. De La Roja. Where I think in the F1 practice, we had a couple guys go off there in free practice today. Braking for De La Roja is going to be, the braking line's pretty accurate. You're going to brake just before you get to the bridge here. So it's just right before that bridge goes out of view, right at the edge of where it goes red. You really, at least I'm running the 140 brake pressure tune. I don't think you can really try to brake any later if you really want to make the chicane here. So fifth gear, this is a second gear chicane, all the way down to second gear, and again, my philosophy with these kind of chicanes and left-right combos, you can sacrifice the entry or sacrifice the entry to get the best run as you can out of the chicane. That matters more, because even here, it is a short enough straight where if somebody bobbles, if the guy in front of you bobbles, you might be able to get enough on the inside braking for Lesmo 1 to make a pass. So second gear corner, I'm going to turn in. I'm going to try and cut this curbing as much as I can, as much as I'll be allowed, but I'm going to back it up here a second. Because Monza, the curbing itself is flat, which is great. So you can use a bit of that curbing and not have to worry about it upsetting the car. But it's the bread loaf curbing then to the inside of that you want to really stay off of, especially with the rear of the car. I think you saw it in the outlap. And you may even see it in the race. If you cut this a little too much, and you get tires just bumping onto that bread loaf, it's gonna pitch the car. It's gonna kick the back end out. If you've screwed up the entry, maybe it helps the car rotate and get you back on track. But try to stay off the big curbs there if you can. As you come out, usually I'll do a quick roll back in the throttle, depending on how much speed I'm carrying through. I don't know that I'll be quite at full throttle all the way through. I'll start to roll back in, but the whole idea is to get like a diagonal from the previous corner there to this one. And then as I get here and I turn the car to the right, you're going to see me roll out of the throttle, so that, again, it's the whole thing about getting the weight back on the front tires. I'm really not braking, just rolling out of the throttle to get a little more weight in the front tires so that the car turns. And then as soon as I'm past the apex, as soon as I'm past the apex and I know that I've got that I've got a good angle out down to the next corner, I'll roll back into the throttle, full throttle in second gear, up to third, and heading down to Lesmo 1. If you've gotten a good exit out of De La Roja, you'll be hitting the rev limiter in third right as you get to the braking, right as you get to braking. There's really no. You can kind of use the tree shadows, depending on the lighting situation to kind of help if you need an additional reference. If you can't see the braking line because you're close to the guy in front of you, you can kind of use those shadows as a guide. I think the braking is just past kind of where the two shadows kind of meet here in the middle. It's right before that, I believe. So third gear, brake, brake, brake. I'm staying in third for Lesmo 1. So I'm braking in a straight line. I'm releasing the brake and turning in as I'm getting to the access road here. Again, I think the line on the track, the guidance is good, especially with this car, where it is a late turn in. It is a late turn in. You're going to late apex, so you bring the car across, in on the apex by the tree, and then start rolling out, and then start rolling back into the throttle as you exit, still in third gear, and you can bring it out. And again, even though the exit curbing here, you can see the little ridges, it's not that harsh. You can get some tires on it if you need to. And you'll probably see me do that a lot, is I'll probably just get the left sides on that curbing. Bring it back onto the pavement, heading up for Lesmo 2. Now, I'm actually, even though I've got the braking line on and, in the race, I'm pretty consistent about where I'm braking. I'm really not looking I'm not using the braking line as judging where I'm going to brake. Let me see if I can back up here a second so you can see what I'm looking at. All right. So I'm looking at trees. Now, in Forza 7, the trees, it's not a full 3D tree. It's kind of like that 2D optical illusion kind of thing that they do. But what I'm looking for is you've got this first tree. It's not this tree, but it's the one that's kind of sticking out here. You can just see that branch kind of sticking up at a roughly 45-degree angle towards the mirror. That's the tree I'm looking for, and at speed, you'll probably be able to pick it out more. But as this tree goes out of view, that's about where I'm hitting the brake. So it's really the tree. If I can, it's that tree right there, where the trunk is in the center of the screen. You'll see the branches of that tree stick out. If you know to start looking for it, you'll be able to pick it out. That's going out of view. That's what I'm using as my braking point. I'm really not looking at the line. Just kind of have that those tree branches in my kind of my peripheral vision. As soon as I can see where they're at and kind of reference where they're at, then that's what I'm using for braking for Lesmo 2. And still in third gear. Now, I'm releasing. I haven't found exactly where I can say, hey, as I'm passing this, I'm releasing the brake. This one I'm kind of doing off rhythm. It's brake. You'll slow the car down. I'll start to arc it in, and then and I think it corresponds, at least with this lighting. It's almost like I'm releasing the brake and really committing to the turn in as I'm getting back in the sun. And I don't want you to rely on that, because I don't know. Again, depending on if you're running day, I don't know if Monza has an alternate day setting that might be a little cloudier or not, or who knows. Matt might even decide to run this in the rain. But it's usually by rhythm. I'll still be in third gear. I'll turn the car in, try to do a late turn in, and I'm trying to use as much of this curb as the game will allow. And much like the exit of the chicane, after I brake and release the throttle, roll the car in, I'm really not rolling back onto the throttle until I'm passing the apex. And usually I'll start rolling back on here, bring the car out, get the left sides on the curb a little bit, and then bring it back onto the pavement. So heading up toward Ascari, we'll go up to third, we'll be in fourth, we'll eventually get it up to fifth. I usually keep it to the left and then just kind of let the car drift over to the right side as the track naturally curves over. Again, it's for me, it's minimizing steering, and again, it's any steering that you're doing even under acceleration could be a little bit of tire scrub, so it minimizes that. Hopefully, allows the car to go quicker. Heading up to Ascari. Now, the funny thing is, I'll have to find the YouTube video. Is every now and then I do look and see. It's like, all right, we're racing a GT40 at Monza. Is there any YouTube video of GT40 at Monza? There actually are. Not too many. Not like what I found with Spa, but the video I found was a guy in a GT40, but they were showing shots, trackside people filming from there of the car going through Ascari, and I kind of watched that a few times, and it's kind of, I think, in watching that and then me playing around with it, I think it is the right line to take. So braking for Ascari is going to be right before the Audi gantry here. So I think it's probably just as you're getting to the sign, or just for me, just as it's getting overhead. Braking line's pretty accurate as far as once it goes red. You want to brake at the red. For me, Ascari is going to be a third gear turn. Now, what the guy in the GT40 was doing here is, again, Ascari, these curves, it's a left, kind of a sweeper to the right, and then it's the exit of the chicane's, a little sharp left again. As far as curb usage, it's hit, miss, hit. So what I want to do is on the entry here, I am going to use the inside curbing, keep it off the bread loaves. And if I do it right, I'm not going to go, if I do it right and I get the braking done, I don't carry too much speed through, I'm not going to carry all the way to the right side of the track on the exit here. I might be halfway or like that, but this is kind of like the uber ideal angle I'd want to be at. I want to be kind of pointed, at where the road looks like it's apexing there just before the Audi sign. I'll roll back into the throttle, probably be full throttle here, and ideally just be off the curbing, just off the edge of the curbing as you get to the Audi sign. And you really don't have to brake through here. You are going to want to crack the throttle. Again, it's kind of back to Curva Grande, right? So you want to get off the throttle to get some weight on the front tires so you can actually turn the car and get it settled into the corner. It's going to be the same similar philosophy here, just not as extreme. You're going to crack the throttle just a little bit, just to get a little weight in the front. It'll allow the car to turn easier. And you're just going to then probably take a little wider entry and then late apex, kind of aim to try and late apex the curbing on the right here, line up for the exit. Again, if you look at the way this curbing is, it dips and it rises up. Some cars or some tracks, the times I've been in here, it's like usually I would try to abuse the curbing on the right side and get the car up in the curbing to try and really open this final part of Ascari up onto the back straight. It kind of unsettles the GT40 a bit. It can do some unexpected things if you barely get on it, especially as you're still kind of turning to the right, setting up to go back to the left. It'll upset the car. If you really commit to getting on the curbing, you'd probably be okay. But again, just with the finicky nature of the handling of this car, and I don't know, I would think Ascari is probably going to be some severe time penalties. I would say really just try to focus on being neat and tidy through here, through this part of Ascari, and just focus on getting your turn in right and curb usage, going in and exiting Ascari here. So again, rolling back into the throttle, probably still not going to be full throttle. As I'm crossing back over, I'll probably lift just slightly to get the car across and cut this corner here. Depending on how you hit this, again, you got the bread loaf there. If you hit it late, you probably can then roll back into full throttle and not go too wide on exit. That's the risk reward of Ascari, especially on that one. If you get the angle right, you can roll back into the throttle and the car will just come nicely out to here. You might get on rumble and cross this white line a little bit. The worst thing that happens is maybe if you turn in a little too early and you hit the the bread loaf bump there, it might pitch the car out and you might go off on the right side. Hopefully, if you do go off the track, that you're going off the track just enough where you're not getting into the sand and the gravel that'll really slow you down. Maybe late, maybe you keep it on the green and then just ease off the throttle and hopefully not get a time penalty. But that's it's risk reward for Ascari is going to be, I think, that's going to be a make or break. If there's time penalties, I think that's where most of us are going to, most of you, because I probably won't be in this race, are going to get it. Again, still third gear, heading down the back straight toward Parabolica. Up to fourth, up to fifth. Slowly bringing the car back across. And where I'm braking for Parabolica is the one board. So, and a good way, at speed, if you have problems seeing the one, just know it's the board that's in the red, on the red pavement. Usually that's the red is what I usually see first. And so as I'm getting into the red, then I'll brake just as about where I'm getting where the one's going out of view. It is brake, brake, brake. I'm down to third gear on this one. I'll start to cheat the car in. I'm not releasing the brakes. I'll cross this line here, I guess this timing line. I'll probably release the brakes right as I'm reaching where the curb starts for the inside of the Parabolica. And then for me, it's arcing the car in. I'm using the flag stand or TV stand there in the Parabolica as something to aim for to get the car to the inside. And then I'm hugging the inside in third gear. The next thing I'm looking for, I'll start to roll back into the throttle when I pass, kind of the first light post past the flag stand. But I'm looking for that red Armco. The second I can really see that, then I'm gonna start to really roll back in and try to get the full throttle as soon as I can to exit out. If I do it too early, the car is going to start to push wide a little bit. It'll push wide of the suggested line. If I get it right, I tend to follow the line out. Usually it's back to full throttle. And the point I'm aiming for is I'm aiming to get the left sides on the very end of the curb here. And then usually that means I'll straddle the line here for a second and then bring the car back onto the course. So I do flirt with the line on exit a little bit. With this car, you might be able to, and against one of those, I can't really tell if it's any quicker or not, but I think you've got multiple lines you can use for the exit of the Parabolica, and I don't think it's going to hurt too much. If you want to do a shorter distance, once you roll back into the throttle, you can hold it to the inside line here and be on full throttle, and then just follow the line out onto the front straight, and then when it straightens out, just keep the angle and bring it back to the left side. So two different lines out, and there's probably different lines all in between. And that's going to be the fun part of the race is seeing what lines you do. If someone overcooks the entry, you might be able to undercut them, or maybe hold the line on the outside. You'll have to see how the race goes out. But very high speed circuit. I think lap times for me were probably going to be in the 135s for me. I don't know that a 134 is possible, or that would be like a magic lap where everything goes perfect. But I'm going to stop talking and, at least for the moment, finish the test drive, and we'll go do a mock race here. And, yep, okay. Now, because it's Monza and this is really a high-speed circuit, you're going to be it's a horsepower circuit, and so to that end, I've had to adjust the AI I'm racing against because the other ones just were not going to be quick enough, and it's hard to find that sweet spot, at least to match up with this tune on the GT40, and then just how the pace that I can run with it. So starting up front is going to be the Formula 70s cars. They're not as quick as I am in a straight line, but they do corner better, so that should, contrasting styles there. Bucket 2 is going to be Forza P2. They're going to run they're going to run about my pace, but it's a similar thing. Depending on which P2 car it is, I might be able to outrun it on the straightaway. but they definitely will outcorner me because they've got better handling and better downforce. I'll start third in the third group, 55 seconds back, and then 5 seconds behind me. Just for funsies, I'm going to have a couple of Ultimas and their 1,000+ horsepower engines behind me. They're definitely going to be faster than me in a straight line, like ridiculously faster, but they're not going to be able to take a lot of the corners at the same pace. So it's going to be a battle of contrasting styles. We'll see how things shake out, but I'm hoping it gives me some passing situations where I'm going to maybe try and pass somebody on the inside, and it's a P2 car and they can stick it to the outside, or even F1 car out quarter me on the outside and kind of fight me through it. So that's my hope. Let's go ahead and start the race. I'm going to have to look this up, but one anecdote with Shelby's history at Monza is, I believe, shortly before, I think it was like a year or two before Shelby kind of took over the GT40 program. When they were racing the Cobras and the Daytonas and the world sports car scene. I think there was one year that the Daytonas were pretty much on the verge of winning the championship for that season, and the final race was at Monza. And as rumor has it, or at least I'm kind of paraphrasing what I've caught on YouTube videos. Ferrari kind of lobbied to, because they had, not sure if I don't think they had the points lead, or they might have slimly had it, but they realized they were probably going to lose it at Monza. But they found a way to get the race canceled to preserve the championship. So, all's fair in love and war, I guess. All right, so clean lap. I doubt with as fast as those Ultimas are going to catch me, I doubt I'm going to get a clean lap until probably late in the race, if at all. Let's see. Curva Grande, turn in, let off the throttle. Cold front tires, so you're probably going to have to be off the gas a little bit more in your out laps the first time through. And let's see if we can get through Ascari unscathed. Ooh, a little bit of a lock up there. Yeah, that's going to be sketchy every lap. But if you get it right, it's awesome. Yeah, they're going to catch me before the end of the lap. They'll probably catch me as I go into Curva Grande. It's probably rolling back in a little later than I had described. Nope, you shall not pass. I'm going to go slightly defensive, which is going to compromise the entry a little bit. I got on the bread loaf there, I'm calling them. Yeah. This is going to be the annoying thing is with the Ultimas behind me is I will definitely outhandle them and I can frustrate them in the corners. But but when you get onto the straight, they're just going to eat me alive. My hope is to be able to keep them behind me as long as I can. And either force them to pit or maybe get some jam cars to... Holy crap. I thought I was enough to the inside to... Kind of that thing with... Oh, come on. Thought it was enough to the inside that, there's, when you race the AI, sometimes you can take a line just a little bit off, and they kind of get confused where they don't know which way to go by you. But I guess I was a little too far to the inside. And he's gonna be gone. My only hope now is that he gets caught up enough in the AI traffic in front of us. Oh, that's a little bit late. Come on. That I can kind of catch back up. Better. Okay, not too far to the inside, but just enough. We'll try this. You see how I had to make a throttle adjustment, and then when I got back on the throttle, the inside tire just started to kind of bounce up and down. That's why, as best as you can, if you can get the car settled, getting into Curva Grande and get back to throttle, and then once you're back on throttle, stay on throttle. Car will be much more compliant. I think. It's been my experience so far. But it's not so out of control that you can't wrangle it in if it starts doing weird stuff. So there's where I was saying, if you get that inside bump there, it'll kind of rotate the car around a little bit on exit. A little wide. Oh, come on. Going in the gravel back there. There. Use the throttle a little too much before getting the exit, so then had to kind of feather the throttle getting onto the back stretch there. So again, Scari's going to be consistently inconsistent, at least for me. Okay. He's going for the undercut. I think part of the issue why the car's getting unsettled is I'm getting too close to that inside curbing and getting on it, which is getting that inside front off the ground, and then it starts to lift. And like always, I'll pit halfway through. Two more tenths out. There we go. That's better. A little bumpity on the exit there. Patient sometimes getting back on throttle because the car will want to push. Went a little bit too early there. Here comes the Ultima. Now the front end got unsettled because I released the throttle and turned it at the same time. Big off for the Ultima that time. Chevy. Line of cars front. Actually, they've all pitted. There, that's about how you should do that. Well, I'll take that. You can open the door. Thank you. Probably catch the tire. Well, I think I'm gonna get by him before. Nope, I'm gonna get to him by Curva Grande. So I'm not gonna force anything here. We're gonna put it at the end of the lap anyway. Oh my! I didn't see that Ultima until I just saw him in the rearview mirror at the very last second. Credit to the AI. Yeah. Expecting a crash there. Well, almost timed that well. A little room on the outside. Up he's hopefully the guy in front of me is not going to hit. The guy does slow down quite a bit. Yeah. Nope. Full throttle. Okay, came in what? Fifth place? You wind up on out of the pits. Much work we gotta do. We won't be last, but we're definitely towards the back. So exiting pits, I'm going to keep it to the left of that white line until I'm sure I'm up to speed. Besides, I'm on the inside for Curva Grande anyway. And just remember, again, exiting pits, cold front tires, the car's going to push it a little bit more than you expect, especially after you've gotten into rhythm. Watch that Mazda drift through there. That's the diesel. Yeah, that's the diesel Mazda. I'm between two diesel Mazdas. You can see you can use quite a bit of that inside curbing. You can see I've almost got the left side kind of like right at the line, and it's not dinging me for penalty. Again, you just run the risk of upsetting the car over the bump. That's the Porsche Spider. There's the other Mazda. Yep, I'm gonna try. Oh, I'm gonna be by him. So, two of the gold cars in the pits. Oh, come on. Yes! Ooh. That was not a safe exit there, buddy. Need to be able to get through this traffic fast, and I just kind of screwed that up. Buffer between me and the Ultimas, and try and catch the one that's coming. So that's the risk and the consequence of, abusing that curving too much. forward. Back up a little bit early. And get back on the throttle as soon as I can. But yeah, you can tell just being completely off the throttle and then turning in, the car was protesting slightly. Trying to move it around a bit. Sorry, but it's a weird place to catch somebody because you're not quite sure. So I try to undercut him on the exit there. Could have been a little bit better, but yeah, 5 seconds up. I really hope that Ultima in front of me is that he catches crap tons of traffic where he's slowest. And he gets kind of mired in that. Problem is then he gets to any of these, this straight or the front straight, he's gone. A little bit of a lock up there. .3. But it's 30. Yeah, I'm gonna try it. So yeah, it's in your own practice, especially for like Curva Grande and Ascari. Well, Curva Grande, practice doing different lines. Like practice a line going into Curva Grande as if you're defending a position, and be a bit further, to the right side of the track on entry, just so you get used to how the car behaves differently, and what you need to do to kind of keep it stable through there. So you'll be able to do a little bit of that on school night. That's bad. Late there and then late there. Even there, I just cracked the throttle just enough. May not even need to come all the way out of the throttle for Curva Grande, entering into Curva Grande. So play around with it. Remember the trick? I haven't tried that trick yet. When we raced the Ferraris here, the way that tune was set up, it had like an uber tall fifth or sixth gear that we never used. I think it was a fifth gear, and I think one of the tricks we found is that you're going into Curva Grande in the Ferrari, and instead of letting off the gas, you would just shift it in the fifth, and the car would just kind of slow down, which was enough to get the car through the corner. It was kind of weird. I don't know that this car will do that. Oh, he had to pit too. Well, there you go. I'd assumed that I did brake a little bit there before I turned in, just given how close I had gotten to him. Yes, I know you're there. The outside. Wasn't sure if he was going to try and stay to the inside there. Fourth place. I have time to get at least really bad brake. So I have enough time in case to get 3 laps. I can probably definitely get the guy in third. I'm assuming the guy in first hasn't pitted yet either. Still 30 seconds up. I think he still has to make a pit stop. Two laps to go. Might be my last clean lap if I can keep it clean. Either I'm going to be racing the guy in front of me for the win, or I'm going to be defending from the, I think that's an Ultima behind me. No, you shall not pass. Oh yeah. Let's throw racecraft out the window. I definitely have straight line on the bat. He's gonna kill me through a Scary. Get the run down to Parabolica. Yep. Still there. Oh! Ooh! I'm not going to get him by start finish, but I was not expecting. Well, I did turn the setting, you know, that whole limit driver to aggression. I did turn that setting off, so I guess that's my fault. But that's Monza in the GT40. So yeah, again, I think chicanes are all going to be challenging, but definitely Curva Grande and Ascari, I think, are going to be the two most challenging parts of the lap, getting around there, just because of the speed you're carrying in and trying to keep the car steady and on pace. So with that, hope you guys have a great weekend. Hope you have a great race next Thursday at Monza, and got to work on my closings. Have a great weekend and happy racing.